Welcome back, everyone. Today's the day I start this, I guess dreaded, I put it off and put it off. I'm starting this project of these three unequal spaced steps. This carbon from Keystone was built this way in late 2017. And my research showed that a few months after they built this, they changed it and made it three steps that are all equally spaced. So my task on this is going to be to take this apart and either rebuild it with existing stuff or replace as needed. I bought some plank flooring off the rack at Lowe's, and that's what I'm going to use to replace it with. My furnace intake is inside those grills, so I have to maintain some sort of airflow for that so that I have heat in the winter when I'm traveling. So let's get started. I had to guess, I'd say they probably drove staples or nails or screws. Oh, there's a screw right there. I can find on that. No, there's some more over here. Oh, those aren't screws, those are staples. That's a screw. Alright, well, I know I'm going to take the carpet off anyway, so probably stapled. So I'm going to use a little leverage on it and see what happens. Wow. I wonder if they build these on a workbench. You set it in as a module. Probably. Uh-huh. Well, how many more of those? Like I said, this carpet's junk anyway. Not at all, never had the intention of keeping it. They've got 100 staples in these things. Oh my gosh, just in the carpet to hold the carpet down. And they run those screws right down through the carpet. Being gentle with it isn't going to do you any good. Alright, there it goes. Okay. So we've got a trim piece that popped off. It's probably glued on. There's there's little holes in it. Alright, so here's what they do is they take these steps and they wrap them. This is what was on top. They wrap them, staple all the carpet to them. They slide them into place. And then they run screws through to put them together with the whole assembly. like an alligator's mouth right there. All them staples sticking down. Rip your arm open, just trying to reach in there. All right, I'm going to get a vacuum and clean some of this stuff up so it doesn't get all over the place. And clean some of the debris out of here. They don't charge for that from the factory, but you get plenty of it. Leftovers. Okay, a little update here. Let me show you what I discovered. There's two ways to do this. You can rip and tear and end up having to remake or rebuild, or you can disassemble. And what I figured out is that these bases are screwed in a couple of different places in here. You see those red marks? I made those red marks so that I know where the screw holes are that go into the floor and hold that back in place so that I line everything up. But another thing that I found is up inside. You got a big long screw there that comes from the front towards the back. There's another one over there, and I believe another one down on that corner there. And those are holding the top part of this step to that platform area over the top of the furnace right there. The only way to get to those is out here. And I'm not ripping and tearing, I'm disassembling. So I had to empty out a bunch of my stuff out of this cargo bay area so that I could get this bulkhead board off to get in behind here. So to get this off, let's go around the other side. I had to take a panel off that went here and covered all the electrical and plumbing stuff. It's a piece of FRP plastic. To get that off, it was just a bunch of screws that went down through the floor here. That piece of blue tape is there so that I know where the edge of that bulkhead has to sit. When I go to put it back in, it's gonna sit right here. So I took a screw out there. I got one more up on the top, and then I'll be done. We'll pull this out, and just like that, that piece came out. So now I can see a bunch of my other component stuff. Looks like I got some trash in here. Look at that. Way to go, Keystone. Pieces of plastic down in all that wiring, and there's my inverter, I believe, or converter. Not sure which. But I need to work from that side over there. Just barely fits out through there. A little bit of rubbing. Put this in the garage because there's some clouds threatening. Now we can see up over the top of this furnace. And see these screws. I guess these are the ones that I saw from the other side. Yeah. So they're really easy to access now once I got this out. So let's do that now. Well, I think the only thing holding it now is those screws going through the floor on the other side. One thing that's going to be a problem, let's see if we can see that. This electrical right here is for an outlet, electrical 120 volt outlet on the outside of the wall behind the outside the door here. There's still some things holding it somewhere because it's pretty solid. Okay, now my only real dilemma. I got everything loose. Everything wants to come out except for where this wiring is holding it. Well, I guess the right way to do this is to pull this outlet. So to do that, I got to cut power to it. I'll let that sit in there and find the breaker. It should be the one for the GFI since it's an outside outlet. And right there, 15 amp. And it's quiet. So now that there's no power there. Okay, so it says on this cap to remove this plate, you have to push in these detents, which are a couple of little holes down here. There's actually 4 of them, 2 on each side. So I did that, and this pops right off. Now, here's what I got. The circuit's dead, so I'm not worried about power, but these are different than a residential style. All they do on these is they use the insulated wire and they push it down until it's pinched between these two little spades. There's a spade here and a spade here, and when they push that down inside, it makes contact with that brass to the copper, and that's what completes your circuit. On this particular one, I've got, this is probably power coming in and two of them going out to something else. I'm not sure what, but that doesn't matter as long as I get this back in the same configuration. So black is on the bottom and white is on the top as I'm looking at it. Okay, I got it all off so that I don't mix them up when I push them through the wall. The one that goes on the back side of this towards the door, I put a piece of blue tape on. The other two are the front ones, so that should be self-explanatory when I go back together. Lots of staples. Trying to get this thing out of here. That fascia piece was rubbing on this door trim, and because it's got about a staple every 2 inches all the way up, I don't want to take it off, and I couldn't get this out. I tried lifting it up and there's no go, and I went up about 5 feet high. Still cannot get it to come out, so I'm going to see if this will do what I need now. Oh man, it's still too tight. All this stuff is put in first before the door and stuff like that, so it's always a tight fit, snug fit to begin with. Man, it's so close. If I forced it, it'd probably scratch the heck out of this trim. But you can see it's just an assembly. Gotta be careful, I'm scratching up the wallpaper. Frickin' staples. Well. What to do next? Okay, it's out. It wasn't an easy task, and once I realized I'm gonna have to rebuild the whole doggone thing anyway. The part where the wires went through that panel right there that went on that sidewall where the wires went out, it was cracked on that top corner anyway. It was dangling loose. I don't know if it was put in that way or what, but anyway, I just pulled it off. Then I was able to lift the whole thing up all the way without scratching the wallpaper and get it above this door frame over here and then slide it out. Okay, a little update on the progress. I got out here in the shop, none too soon, it just started pouring down rain. When they build these steps as an assembly, they build them with probably 2 boxes of staples. I pulled the staples, this is the staples right here, out of the 2 stair treads, which is the part you just step on. That's what was holding the tread to the blocking and the carpet to the tread. That's only one of them. I haven't even done the second one yet. All right, the next step here is to pull the carpet off of this upper landing area. And I started doing that over here by the bathroom door. And they've stapled this stuff down throughout the entire field, I believe. I mean, it's I've got staples all the way back into here already. And it's only getting the edge loose. So I'm going to start back here at this flange, the first step, riser, and expose that, get that carpet up, and probably take it all the way back to that door right there. Okay, so here's what I've got underneath here. A little closer view for you. It's OSB, oriented strand board. They've got some heavy anchors in it that are holding it down to the frame assembly underneath, and just another box of staples holding that piece of carpet down right there. Well, I'm done for tonight anyway. It's 8:30 at night, and I'm done in here. I've got all the staples pulled out of that decking. I've swept it down clean. I've also started making drawings and measurements down here of what I need to make, or whatever I make needs to fit this area. So I'm going to work on that tomorrow. I'll go out to the shop here in a minute and finish up a few things out there and close up. Wow. So 26.5 divided by 3, it's going to be about 8 3/4 inches of height per step. Time for a new blade. Okay, I've made some forward progress today. Let me show you what I'm doing. Originally, this deck platform floor came out to this piece of plywood right here. What I did is I put a 2x2 block up onto it, and then another one down lower, because there was another, this piece of plywood didn't go down all the way. So I made a blocking spacer basically, and I blocked this out another 2 inches. And what that did is it's making this a little bit longer, but it's also everything's stepping away from that furnace. I think the reason that step was so short is because the air intake for this furnace is underneath here. I got this cardboard and wrapper here to keep the debris and sawdust and stuff out of the fan, but it had to have clearance to get that air in there. I needed to step this down to make this a taller step right here. And ideally, I'd like to get 8 to 8.5 inches, 8 1/4 inches ideally. But I can't on that particular one. I can only, where's my tape measure? The best I can get right there is 8.5, but let me show you what that means. I put a piece of angled aluminum, very similar to this. It's a 1 inch by 1 inch angled aluminum, down here on the bottom of this, and ran screws through the plywood into the aluminum to attach it. And what that does is it makes it a little shelf right there. So this middle step tread is going to sit on that. And what that's going to do is give me support. It's also going to leave some room in here for airflow, but it's not going to restrict it so much. There's still a lot of air, a lot of space over here for all this air to get in and draw in. I'm also going to have vent grills on the front of these step risers, so there will be opportunity for more airflow. So that's where we're at now. I'm taking this old one as a pattern. You can see where it used to be. That's what the step used to be. Put 2 pieces of plywood on top of that, makes it another inch. And that's why that was only a 4-inch step up there. I'm just basically going to copy this in a smaller version so that it comes down and the top of this will rest at the top of this piece of angled aluminum. So that's my next step, is to make a pair of those and set them in and then start assembling as I go. Okay, there's one that is just a smaller version of that one right there. Basically, that's much shorter. I had to make it. From the top of this one to the top of this one, about 2¼ inches, I think. So now I'm gonna lay that out on this other piece and cut a second one, and we'll start assembling. I've got the basic step assembly rebuilt. Now the test. Let's see if it's going to fit. The only way I can get this thing up in there, or down in there, is to go up and over this door trim and door frame. So I have to do that so carefully not to scratch the wallpaper. Pretty tight. On the furnace. So I gotta trim that out of there. Man, these things are a pain in the butt. Alright, steps mounted in. Put the electrical back through and connected it outside so I can put my breaker, turn my breaker on. I've got this mounted. I changed up. I put a leg here to bear the weight of that front step. And then on the back side over here, I put a little aluminum foot to kind of spread the weight out over for this step. The overall dimensions are close. They're within ½ inch of each other. This one looks taller because there's no tread. There's actually two pieces. A base goes on here and then a tread plate. Once those pieces are on there, the step height will be just about the same. Alright, I'm back on day 3. There's been a lot of other projects that continue to sidetrack me from this one. So this is I started late again today on this, and I didn't take time to video right off the bat, but I'm making progress. As you can see, I'm laying this new laminate flooring. It's a plank laminate type material, and I'm notching under my door frames with a notch saw. I'm also providing some clearance down the edge of this wall so that there's no vibration and rubbing. And I'm fairly snug on this side. I'm not sure yet how I'm going to close that off. I may use a shoe mold or a piece of quarter round or something like that. I also even kicked it out. As you can see, this kicked out underneath. I kicked it out enough to radius that out. I may trim that just a little bit more. It's not going to hurt to provide a little bit of clearance there. Then finish it out up at the top. I've got a lot of little detail pieces to make, filling in with just leftover cutoffs after I've done the main ones. So that's where it's at right now. This is what I started with, is one box of this SmartCore Pro. It's got a foam pad underneath backing. And at Lowe's, it was a leftover box or an open box or something, I forget, but it was marked down to $10. Normal price on that box was about 56 bucks. These are the leftover pieces that all I've got left. I calculated pretty accurate, and I was right. You can see it's got the foam core bottom. It's a gray, kind of a dockwood washed gray, I guess you'd call it, even though it's called Covington oak. All this is just laying in place right now. I put it together kind of like a puzzle, and pieces that I liked with character, like the the knot and whatnot. This last piece, it was a full piece, and I didn't know what I was going to do up there, and I thought, hey, one of these pieces fits almost perfectly right there. And the last piece I had some character to it with a couple of plank ends on it. So that's where it went. I did notch underneath the door jambs in all the spots, and now I'm going to go to Lowe's and find a transition strip to put in there. Here is the final result. I do have a piece of molding that I'm going to put down that other edge over there just to hide that little gap. I think it's going to hide quite well. But I put the metal bullnose step corners on to protect the edge on all three. All three steps are not quite equal. One is 8 1/4, one is 8 3/4, and one is 9 1/8 or so. So there's a little bit of mismatch, but it's much more it's easier to walk up and down on both of these. The transition that I put in up here on the top is a piece that I found on clearance rack. It's not the exact match, but it's close enough. I don't know how long this carpet's going to stay in, but I'm quite pleased with the way that looks. And it transitions from that laminate into the carpet. For the bathroom, I used a metal. I tried using the wood grain look, but they didn't have the right profile for the height of that. So I just went with a piece of metal. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. I don't know what my next mod's going to be, but I'm sure there's going to be something. So I'll catch you on that next one. Give me a thumbs up and comment below. Tell me what you think.